Hello everybody, my name is Heretic, and I'm back from the grave with a thoughts and analysis video about Five Nights at Freddy's 3. I'm looking straight at the Steam Greenlight page right now for the description, and that is, 30 years after Freddy Fazbear's Pizza closed its doors, the events that took place there have become nothing more than a rumor and a childhood memory. But the owners of Fazbear's Fright, the horror attraction, are determined to revive the legend and make the experience as authentic as possible for patrons, going to great lengths to find anything that might have survived decades of neglect and ruin. At first, there were only empty shells, a hand, a hook, an old paper plate doll, but then a remarkable discovery was made. The attraction now has one animatronic. Now, I'm going to go straight to this blue sentence because this is the important part. Before I actually talk about that, I just want to say 30 years and one animatronic. That was the speculation when Five Nights at Freddy's 2 was out. That's cool as shit that people figured that out so quickly. But anyway, I don't know what the empty shells refers to. For me, when I think of shells, I think shotgun shells or seashells. And I can't think of anyone who would have that. Foxy maybe having shells, but it's maybe it. Oh wait, maybe the shells, the empty shells are the old the old toy animatronics. It's the plastic casings. That's what the shells are. A hand, I have no clue. I'm assuming that's either an animatronic hand or I don't know. A hook, that's Foxy's hook, and I'm actually going to talk about that later. An old paper plate doll, that's this right here. I'm going to post it up for a few seconds. It's the old paper plate Balloon Boy doll. So that's kind of cool, but not really relevant to the whole new story anyway. But we're going to go into the other screenshots now from the Steam stuff. And we're going to talk about what the new resources to manage are now. So I'm not going to be doing this in order or any kind of way like that. I'm just going to kind of post up them as I talk about them. But anyway, this is the new system we have to deal with. It's a system restart at the top, and I don't see any arrows near it. So I don't know if that's something that's clickable or it's accessible or what. Or maybe that's just it saying system restart. Like this is the menu that it restarts. So seeing audio device error, camera system error, ventilation error, and there's something else I want to talk about regarding these errors because the room is still normal colors. This is clearly the new stuff we're going to be dealing with, and it looks like it's going to be frustrating as fuck. Because I'm assuming ventilation are these little vents at the top above the screen that you can see. I'm thinking there might be an overheating mechanic, such as your system can overheat, or you just get way too hot, or something of that nature. Or he could crawl, I don't think he can crawl through them, those are pretty small vents. So I'm going to go with probably your system needs to stay cool to run properly, or something like that. Camera system is a no-brainer, that's obviously, using the camera. And audio devices is, again, a no-brainer. That's so you can hear him when he's moving around, you're doing some kind of shenanigans. Reboot all is probably going to have some kind of cooldown. In fact, I think all of these are going to have a cooldown, and they're probably going to get hot, and that's probably going to keep your ventilation running. So that's just my guess. But reboot all is probably going to put you on a high, very risky cooldown to get them all up and running again. So be very careful when you click that button. We're going to have to find out what happens. But anyway, up next is our old friend Foxy. So as you can see up there, Foxy, he didn't make it. Foxy is now an attraction. Foxy has a light in his right eye, and you can see the animatronic, the new guy, on the left. And I'll show you a full picture. You've seen a full picture of him, so I'll get more on him later. But I want you to pay attention down at the bottom. You can see two dots. I don't know what those dots mean, but I'm going to show a picture later that's going to have something to do with those dots that I want to talk about. And there is one thing I am kind of afraid. Looking at these screenshots and everything else, the game looks like it took a graphical downgrade. Then again, the video is in 480p, so I'm sure it's going to look a lot better once it's released. One thing that does worry me is those little circles around the camera. I don't know why that's there, if it's necessary, because it makes it look kind of tacky. Not really a theory thing, but it's just my own little gripe. Anyway, moving on to the next head on the wall, or the next attraction, as you will. Here we have a very grainy picture of what appears to be Bonnie, and this is kind of important, and I want to talk about that one later when I'm speaking about the new animatronic. But in this screenshot at the bottom, you see three dots. Again, I don't know what that is. Is that power? Is that something? And notice that the the little white circle around the camera isn't there anymore. So that could mean that when there's a white circle around the room, it means you've found the animatronic or he's in that room or something. I don't know, but I'm going to blow it up so you can see a little better. As you can see, this Bonnie has a light in his left eye. Now, I don't know if this is relevant or whatnot. In the trailer, his left eye moved, but it's pretty obvious that there's only one animatronic now, at least from what we can see and what Scott has told us, but I'm not really sure exactly what that's going to be. So, with that being said, we're going to go ahead and move on to the actual physical room that we're going to be entering in and, surveying the layout. So this is our new office where we'll be, doing our security guard shenanigans. And what's important about this office is you can see the shells, at least what I believe is the shells, of Toy Bonnie, Mangle, Balloon Boy, Toy Freddy, Toy Chica, and I'm pretty sure I said Toy Bonnie. But you can also see Foxy's hook hanging out of the box too. So the reason I wanted to say that is because I was looking at the new animatronic. Looks like he's a mashup of parts and stuff, and a few people have thought that as well. And I don't want to say that they're wrong, because I think he might be, but at the same time, people say, oh, it's all the old animatronics. I don't think no. Scott's saying that stuff that was found doesn't necessarily mean that it was used. It's all right in that box. They may be planning to use it or something, but I think these are the shells and stuff that was being referred to. No sign of the paper plate or the hand or what else, but, or maybe that's the hand. Yeah, that metal piece hanging off of the Mangle that's probably the hand right there. So yes, it's actually an animatronic hand. Okay. And what I really want to pay attention to is on the right side and on the desk, you can see a Chica, Freddy, and Bonnie doll. Now, this could either mean that they're in the game, which I don't think that's true, or that they're for challenges. Now, mind you, these little animatronics over here are... The original one is not old Bonnie. I'm pretty sure that's Toy Bonnie, Toy Chica, and Toy Freddy, but I'm not 100% sure on that. The first one is for sure Toy Bonnie. The middle one is iffy. Even Freddy looks like that, and that looks like the old Chica design, so... No idea what they are, but it looks like... Well, judging by the posters, these are probably the toy ones. These were probably given to kids as prizes or toys like that. So what I think this means is these could be earned from challenges or something, or maybe they're just there for decoration. We don't know. And of course, our good friend the fan is back. But for some reason, the fan is on the outside of the room. I just noticed that the fan is on the outside of the room, and it seems to be blowing because it looks on the screen. I have no idea, but apparently the fan is outside. So I'm going to say fan confirmed for second animatronic. You heard it here first, folks. Anyway, I want to talk about a few things regarding the amalgamation that was mentioned earlier. Not going to talk about this for very long. It's pretty easy to see. I just wanted to post a screenshot because you're like, oh, it's the hook was used and the other stuff was used, and it's got to be what it is. You can see on here that this animatronic clearly has two hands. It clearly it's got two. It looks like Bonnie. It really does look like Bonnie. And speaking of that, that's what we're going to talk about next. Speaking of Bonnie, and a lot of people have said that it looks a lot like Bonnie, but I want to bring up a few things that kind of support it, because there are things that do go against it, such as, the fact that the amalgamation stuff doesn't work, and you can see Bonnie's head torn up and used as a decoration on the wall. But if you look on the top of this thing right here, that's Bonnie's face on the arcade machine. That's... I don't want to say it's concrete evidence, but it's pretty much a hint at it. Not to mention the fact that Bonnie's eye turns towards the camera, or towards us on the screen in the cinematic trailer. So I'm going to heavily guess that Bonnie's got something to do with this. So here we can see I managed to get a really good shot from the actual recording of from the trailer, right, player? I took the screenshot because I wanted to get a picture of his hand to show that he didn't have a hook, before I realized in the little part where he starts shaking and spazzing the fuck out that he doesn't have a hook hand. But what I realized when I saw this was that it actually shows off the ear, proving that this is in fact Bonnie in some way, shape, or form. Either the ears are, it's an old Bonnie, it's an old something. It's clearly an old animatronic. I mean, and people have been saying, oh, it's decaying, that's why it looks golden. That's purple doesn't decay into gold. That doesn't work that way. If anything, it would be a lighter blue or a very faded blue, but not gold, okay? So, this has really got to be an old fucking animatronic. We're talking, I don't even know how. This is 30 years after, I believe, the first game. The very, very first one. The original Five Nights at Freddy's, not the sequel. Not the prequel, sorry. So, 30 years after that, plus there was a bite of 87. And I think it's, like 20, I'm going to say this thing's over 50 years old. So, this is an old-ass animatronic, okay? So, I'm going to post up a picture right now just showing that it does, in fact, look a lot. Like, the ears are definitely Bonnie's. The teeth, however, I'm going to post this right now, look an awful lot like Freddy's, as you can see from this picture. So, I'm not really sure what that is, or if it was a weird version of Bonnie back in the day before he had the cone-style teeth. But I'm going to go show the very last picture from the Steam Greenlight thing, and yeah, we're going to look into it. So there's that crazy son of a bitch in all his glory. Now, if you were to take Bonnie's head and shrink it a little bit, or just kind of make it decay, or kind of take a few bits off, which is what looks like happened here, the head fits Bonnie's. The ears fit Bonnie. So, while I'm on the fence about it, my more logical side is leaning to the fact that the new animatronic, the one we're going to be dealing with, is in fact Bonnie. Now, I don't know what type of Bonnie. I don't know if it's a mixture of Bonnies and something else. But it is leaning towards Bonnie is going to be the main antagonist of this game, which is kind of odd considering it's called Freddy Fazbear's. But hey, I mean, it's a nice little twist, and I'm excited to see where it leads. So, that's pretty much all I have to say about the game. The only thing I wanted to add it on was that we're obviously not going to be here at we're not at the park or the amusement, whatever the fuck it is, the attraction, sorry. We're not at the attraction to, fuck around, go through it. Oh, it's so spooky. Oh my god. Oh, it's new. No, we're a security guard again. And this thing is going to be roaming around the new attraction, coming after us to kill us. While I am disappointed that it's not going to be a adventure style game, I guess if that's what you want to call it, or survival horror style game, like something such as Resident Evil or Silent Hill, I do understand. But there's something I wanted to talk about real quick before I end the video, and that is animations. It looks like this animatronic might not fall under the same pretense that the other ones do. He doesn't need a trigger. Now, in the other games, all of the characters are pre-imposed, like they're imposed images. So when the hallway goes dark and you can't flash your picture, all that's happening is the game is basically putting a picture of an animatronic on your screen. That's all it is. It's just a JPEG and there it is. It's over the background, and that's how it works, aside from the obvious animations of him trying to kill you. Now, I don't think he falls into this category. He might because of that one part where he's leaning in to look at the camera, but it could just be he's staring at you to scare the shit out of you. Or it could be that he's got a mixture of where part of him will actually have physical animations where he will walk through the rooms or even run, and others where he'll just be staring at you with the old JPEG style. Now, there's one last thing. I don't keep saying that. There's one final thing I want to talk about in this room. Why is the room red? Why is that? My first initial thought was, oh, maybe the ventilation's off and the room is getting too hot and your system's, freaking out and that shuts down the other part of the system. But part of me doesn't feel that's right. Maybe it just happens when you get killed or he's in the room or something. I don't really know. And then looking at his I keep saying one last thing, but anyway, looking at his eyes, they look human. I mean, if you want to, I don't really have a good picture of it, unfortunately. At least one that zooms in without really showing. But you can zoom in on that if you want to. You can, take the picture. You can check on the wiki or whatnot. But his eyes look like they have veins in them. Either they are rotting out or they look really human. In fact, if you look in the eye sockets, like just look around where the eyes are, that almost looks like flesh. Like just to the right of the eye and the end of the socket, that looks like flesh, like pink flesh. So maybe it's not just an animatronic, or then again, it could just be the tubes. So anyway, those are my thoughts on this. I'm super excited to play this game, and of course, more theories are going to be coming out, more of me dying and raging like a monster. So I hope you all enjoyed this episode. Thank you all so much for watching. Welcome to town, everyone.